Hello, this is Patty, or Cree, and I am going to make this video as a response video to a comment that was posted under my video that I made last night, and I wanted to address some of the things this person had mentioned in the comments, because yes, I was definitively buzzed and just talking and just like straight from the heart talking. You know how you have less inhibitions when you've been drinking alcohol. So and that's kind of I don't know, I like doing videos like that every now and then because I am less inhibited, and I feel like maybe I can get more of my point across. So here's the comment. I'm gonna kind of break it up into just different segments and address one segment at a time. So the first thing he wrote, I believe it's a he, I think his name is Doug. So Doug, this is for you. And I first, before I get into this, I do truly want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video, to comment and critique it. And this is, I believe, how me, as someone who is an anarchist and trying to spread this message and trying to get anarchy as more common, as something that people, they're hearing it enough, and so, you know, when the day comes and we switch over to an anarcho-natural law type of society, that it won't seem so foreign, it won't seem so scary. So that's kind of why I'm doing this, and I'm trying to like just bring forth some common sense topics, because I believe that anarchy at its heart is very simplistic, very common sense, very rational, very logical. And so anyway, I want to thank you for taking the time to critique and to comment on my video. So my response to you, please take it from that point of view, that I am incredibly grateful for what you have written. And for those of you that wrote positive comments, you know, thank you too. So anyway, the first thing that was written, he mentioned Atlas Shrugged is about capitalism and how hierarchy is beneficial because without leaders, everything turns to shit. I didn't quite understand that, so, and it is true that Atlas Shrugged is about capitalism. And, you know, I know some people are very anti-capitalism, and I call myself a natural law anarchist, and there are anarcho-capitalists, where they believe that capitalism without government, which is what true capitalism is. I mean, when the government's involved, you don't have true capitalism. And on this planet, we don't have true capitalism because the government gets their little greedy paws on every little transaction that takes place. I mean, everything's freaking taxed. And so, yeah, so we don't have true capitalism, but we do have government, and we do have corporations, which they really they really limit, I should say, our ability to progress forward, and that's kind of what Atlas Shrugged was all about. So if I misrepresented the movie or the book, I apologize. That next thing he wrote was, look at the Harlow experiments and see the damage that social isolation caused on the psyche. I haven't had a chance to look up the Harlow experiments, but I can totally see that social isolation could do that. You know, this is why I desire to be social. I really do. In fact, I'm still debating if I'm going to go out tonight. You know, last night I was kind of in a antisocial mood, and I was trying to limit myself and whatever, right? So I come home and I have another drink, and I make YouTube videos for people that hopefully watch this that are already anarchists or vegans, and so, you know, it's good to maybe branch out outside of the people that you normally want to associate with. Because, like it or not, right now on our planet, we have a lot of status. And if we're going to make any kind of real change on this planet, we have to make the philosophy of anarchy, you know, what anarchy is, we have to make that, again, more common. We have to talk about it. We have to discuss it. And just kind of staying at home and being in your own little cubicle of your own little house is not going to get the word out. Okay. So now we're getting kind of into the real stuff that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, I'm having another drink. It's my first one, though. Alright, it's Saturday. You guys probably think I'm a total lush, but that's okay. I was totally good all day. I mean, all I basically consume throughout the day are fruits and vegetables. That's it. And I had some coffee. But, yeah, I had a huge green smoothie, and so, you know, I'm putting a lot of good nutrients into my body so that when I have a drink or two, it's not going to be the end of the world. So the next thing he wrote, let me read it first. Next, realize that as a woman who is attractive, you automatically have thousands of guys wanting to sleep with you. I don't know about that. Sex sucks for women, and being used for sex sucks too. But as a person, I think he miswrote it, but as a person who has not had intimate contact for 21 years, bad sex is better than no sex. Alright, so I am incredibly sorry that you have not had intimate contact for 21 years. I mean, I can truly understand how that would really suck. I've been thinking about this quite a bit today as I was going about my day. And, so the way you put this forth, you know, bad sex is better than no sex. I think that's something that we really want to look at, or that I really want to look at. You know, it's kind of like voting. You know, so you call yourself an anarchist because later in your comment you say that I'm not an anarchist and that you are a real anarchist. But let's kind of compare what you wrote here. Bad sex is better than no sex to voting. So when you're voting between what most people would say the lesser of two evils. And, you know, but is voting going to make a big difference? Because if the lesser of two evils is still an evil, right? So, you know, when we're voting for who is going to steal from us, who is going to take our money, or whatever we earn, whatever we produce, who's going to take that because they apparently know how to use it better than we would. Because that's essentially what's happening. They're stealing money from us. So you're voting for who will steal from you. So you're essentially voting for the lesser of two evils. So when you write here that that bad sex is better than no sex, I would have to disagree with that. Okay, you know, I think that as humans we have this desire for connection. We have this desire for intimacy. And we also, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you investigate Mark Passio's work on cosmic abandonment, because we as a human species have been abandoned. And this is why abandonment is such a huge thing to explore for humanity, because when you're abandoned, you have this desire for someone to care for you, for you to be taken care of, and this is, you know, this is, I think, why voting and government are such a lure for humans. Because, you know, the Democrats and the Republicans are essentially kind of like the mother and father figure. And, you know, we can say, like, the Democrats are very motherly, very feminine. The Republicans are very fatherly, very masculine in how they approach their resolution of topics, which are all, you know, involving stealing and so immoral. So so cosmic abandonment is this theory that Mark Passio talks about, and it really gets kind of into some alternative theories about how humans came to be, you know, human origins, and so I think this is why people want a government. They want someone to take care of them, because, you know, if you're abandoned and you never had that kind of like motherly or fatherly love, and you were never truly raised, you were never truly exposed to this world in a loving way so that you can be self-sufficient, so that you can be truly sovereign and you can take care of yourself. You know, that's the whole purpose, I would think, of raising a child. I don't have any children, but I would want to raise a child so that they could truly raise not only their ability to take care of themselves, but raise their consciousness, helping them explore alternative ideas, ways of thinking, and really pointing out the bullshit of society. So I don't want to get off track too much, but, you know, this could be the reason why people want a government. They want that there to take care of them because they feel abandoned. So let's relate this to bad sex is better than no sex. Yes, we have a desire for physical intimacy. I think that's a natural thing. And so you're suggesting, and I don't even know how, I really don't know how sex came up. I mean, when I say that I'm lonely, what I'm really craving is not sex. I'm craving a deep philosophical connection with someone. Like, I really want to explore ideas that I have and reflect them, or I guess let them be taken in by another person, and have that other person maybe reflect back to me what their thoughts are on that topic. And someone, you know, and this is why I like talking with anarchists for the most part, because they tend to be very curious, and they tend to not kind of go with the status quo, with, you know, these typical responses that you get from a lot of statists, you know, because they will look at, anarchists I find typically will look at any kind of topic and truly like break it down and to its simplest, it's like Occam's razor, try to break it down to its most simplistic, I don't know if that was the best analogy for Occam's razor, but it's the most simplistic way of understanding it. And so that's I wasn't talking about sex, you know, you brought up sex, so that's something important to you, obviously. And if you haven't had sex in a while, I guess you're stating that bad sex is better than no sex. And I'm gonna have to disagree, because it's like the lesser of two evils with voting. You know, I would venture to say, for most people, their first sexual experience is probably not the best. You know, when you're not sure of yourself, when you are, you know, unless, I mean, in our society, sex is so fucked up because, you know, we live in this society where we exploit each other sexually. I mean, look at all of the advertisements and how women and men are portrayed, and even like younger and younger people, you know, young girls especially, are sexually exploited. I mean, look at all of these Disney Channel kids, these Disney children that grew up to be like these sexual icons. And you know, what are we promoting here? What are we truly promoting when we're kind of promoting this this like very low level consciousness, when we're trying to just kind of get people to think what I call with their lower chakras, when they're thinking like from this very low level of consciousness where they just want physical pleasure and just sexual contact. I think that that leaves you so empty. It truly does. And I would venture to say that bad sex is more problematic than having no sex, because when you have something that truly could be a very mystical and loving way to connect with another human being, and you treat it where you're just kind of trying to get pleasure from somebody, it leaves you feeling so empty inside. And I mean, I speak from personal experience. You know, when, you know, maybe you you are attracted to someone, you really like them, and maybe you have sex with this individual maybe too early, or maybe they don't feel the same way about you, and you have a sexual experience, and if you don't have that connection, it leaves you empty. It's like empty calories. It's like when you're eating a food that's just basically processed sugar and wheat and you know, dead animals, and it's leaving you toxic and empty. You're craving nourishment, you're craving something, and you're not getting what you're craving. And you think you are, but it's false. It's a lie. And that's what bad sex is. So, you know, that's not what I want. That's not personally what I want. You know, I could go, yeah, it's true. Probably I could go to a bar and find somebody and have sex tonight if that's what I wanted to. Does that make me better than anybody else? No. I think a lot of people could do that. Maybe they can't. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm sorry for you. And I mean, it does make me sad that you have not had intimate contact with someone for such a long time. I mean, but I would think you would want that deeper level of intimacy, you know? I mean, you seem like an incredibly intelligent guy, and you're bringing up some great points here. And you call yourself an anarchist, which, you know, someone, in my opinion, that gets to that level, that embraces anarchy, I think is someone that has really done a lot of research into what truth is. And personally, I find that incredibly attractive in an individual. So don't cut yourself short. I mean, you know, humans have beautiful minds, and people fall in love and become attracted with people for more than just physical beauty. I mean, physical beauty can only go so far. What somebody looks like will change as they get older. And these are just things we have to accept. I mean, what I look like now at the age of 42 is a hell of a lot different than what I looked like when I was 22. I have changed. I believe, though, that how I view the world and how I connect with people and how I can see things very clearly, I think that makes me, you know, in those respects, perhaps more of a person that can appreciate beauty than who I was when I was at the age of 22. When I was, you know, at the age of 22, not very self-conscious. You know, I wasn't as reflective and understanding of truth and reality as I am today. So please kind of take that to heart when I say that. You know, I do think it's better to have no sex than bad sex, and I think that's important. Okay, so you go on to say you're saying that I have options that most guys don't. Well, you know, it's kind of like voting. I don't, you know, there could be 10 candidates, but if they're all going to propose stealing as a way to run a country, which I mean taxation, which is what they're going to do. They want to steal my money. I don't care how many of them I have to choose from. I'm not voting for any of them. And I don't care how many men are out there that, you know, just want to have physical pleasure or sex. I'm not going to choose that. I don't want that. I want to connect with a person on a deeper level, and I don't have any desire to have bad sex or empty sex with somebody. And then you go on to say that I will always be accepted into anarchist circles, or any circle, because there are 1 billion more men than women on the planet. And you note like China and India, where I guess in China, because they kill, unfortunately, female babies, which is incredibly, incredibly just heartbreaking. And then even in America, in the United States, you say there's about a few million more men than women. I am not really knowledgeable of that. I thought, like, as far as the current birth rates, that it was like 51-49 favoring women, but you know, I could be wrong. I don't study these statistics. But even so, again, I don't think it really matters, you know. So there you go. And then you go on to say, because of that and the crap males are born with, simps and manginas and white knights, I think that's kind of clever, are always at your call. No, they're not. I don't play that game with men. I really don't. I don't try. I mean, I'm not your. I don't know if maybe I'm not a typical woman. I don't use men. I don't. Yeah, I could benefit from their help for a lot of things. I mean, my TV is still sitting on the floor because I physically don't have the strength to lift it up and put it on my TV stand. I can't do it. My leg, you know, is still healing and it's really heavy. So, you know, I could use a man's help, but I don't know. I know that I have a personal fear of rejection, and you know, I'm like anybody else. I fear rejection, and it's something I'm working with, and I'm very self-conscious, and you know, and I do. I'm gonna say it right here. I do talk to a therapist, especially after this hell of a year I've been through. I do talk to a therapist, and she's been incredibly helpful in helping me not beat myself up so much. I'm very critical of myself, and very fearful, and you know, I have this tendency to trust and love very deeply, and when people that I've trusted or people that I've loved, when that trust or that love is broken, it hurts me very deeply. And I don't do things half-ass. I really delve in deep. Depth of experience is something that is, I think someone in one of my comments on the last video said that their life path number was 7. Mine is 5. And so if you're a number 5, and you do this with numerology, it's like you add up your birth date numbers. And I'm a life path 5, and so I'm, you know, one of the theories behind this whole thing is that it tells you kind of your approach to life on this planet during this lifetime. And as a number 5, you know, I'm here for depth of experience, to really get into deeply experiencing the truth of something, which I totally get. That's what I do. And I go in deeply with a lot of topics. I explore them, and I keep moving forward and forward, and I really like to understand things as intricately as possible. I think this is why I love the basic sciences. You know, the 2 things I love learning about are human physiology, and that's what I teach. I also teach human anatomy. And then my graduate degree was in biochemistry, and I see a lot of beauty in studying how the natural world works. But I'm just, you know, I could read something in a textbook and think, okay, well, then I want to know more. And so I keep going deeper and deeper. So anyway, depth of experience is something that I kind of do. So let me continue on with your response. So you say that these men will always be at my call. Well, you know, maybe if I felt comfortable using men in that way, they would be, but I don't. And I don't have any man at my call. I mean, maybe I could, you know, and maybe that's something I would love to have friends that I could just call up and say, hey, can you come over and help me put my TV on my stand? I don't have that right now, okay? And I feel guilty, you know, calling and asking somebody to help me with something like that. I feel like, well, I should pay them or I should do something. And so I don't, and that's something I'm personally working on. So anyway, and then you say you can go on POF and get 100 messages a day, and it's your choice to choose one. I don't know what POF is. I'm assuming it's some kind of message board or something. And then you say guys get 0 messages unless they're famous or have status. You know, that's like all this superficial crap, and you know, that's, I don't know. That's silliness, in my opinion. I don't mean to be callous here. I don't mean to, like, dismiss what you're stating. I don't know. I think maybe you're judging me. You don't really understand, you know, that I don't play those games that maybe girls that you've had experiences with play. I don't use men. I don't want to use men. I don't want to use anybody. I value all humans. And any human that is curious and wants to have a, you know, spend time with me and get to know me, and I invite that, you know. And I've got friends of all ages. I don't, you know, and of all backgrounds. I don't have like a certain type of person that I only accept into my realm of friends. And, you know, I say friends very loosely because I really don't have a lot of close friends. And yeah, that is a choice of mine that I've unfortunately made, probably. I've probably pushed more people away. And that's another thing I'm working on with my therapist, because I tend to assume a lot of other people. I tend to assume people don't like me. That's really the first thing I'm working with. Assuming that people they think negative of me, that they don't want to get to know me. And a lot of times it surprises me when someone actually does express interest in me. So I don't know. Then you go on to state that I am not an anarchist. Oh, come on. I mean, but let's see what you write next. And you say that you know that you are an anarchist. I'm going to read your words. So you say, "You are not an anarchist. I know I am. I don't know exactly what you are, but you would want people to stop hunting of their own accord. And this alone defines that you don't look at the world logically, and that is not very anarchist of you." All right, so it's true. I don't like hunting. I think killing any life that desires to live is morally wrong. Now, the definition of anarchy, which I've explored in previous videos, simply means without rulers. Okay? So I am not stating that I want some sort of ruler, some sort of government official to say that you cannot hunt. In fact, I would fight for your right to hunt. Okay? But I find it morally wrong. I find that killing life is wrong. And what makes it even more wrong is the fact that humans do not need animal protein, animal products in the form of food to eat, because it's very toxic. And you know, animal protein, first of all, is very inflammatory on the body. It's dead flesh. It has no energy. It has no life force energy in it. You know, we should be eating raw fruits and vegetables. That's what has the highest energy for humans. We're the only species on this planet, other than cats and dogs, which are domesticated because we feed them crappy food just like we eat. We're the only species on this planet that has to cook its food before we can ingest it. So you have to ask yourself, you know, if you had a cow standing there, a living cow, and then let's say a bowl of grapes, and you couldn't do anything, you had to eat it just like it was, the living cow or the bowl of grapes, which one as a human being would you consume? And you're really hungry. Are you gonna bite your you know, big ass canines like these things into a living cow? I don't think so. You can't do it. We don't even have the mechanisms to tear into a cow's flesh. Or are you going to eat the grapes, which are so nutritious? I mean, grapes are one of the healthiest things that we can consume. They do so many beautiful things for our body. I mean, it's so logical that we should be eating plant foods. Ask anybody, what are the healthiest foods out there? They're going to say fruits and vegetables. Well, why not just eat those by themselves? Makes sense to me. So this is why I think hunting is so wrong, because you're causing death and suffering, okay, so that you can put dead flesh into your body that's harming your body. So I find it to be an immoral thing to do. Oh shit, I just lost my email. I find hunting to be immoral. I find eating any animal flesh to be immoral. I really do. It's not something we need to be doing. All right. So then, are you going to give me, like, you know, a lot of times when I explain this to people, then people give me like this, you know, fucked up scenario, like, oh, well, what if you're on a deserted island and plants can't grow there and all you have are wild pigs, you know, and that's the only thing you have. Well, when we live in some kind of water world environment where that is, you know, a viable scenario, contact me, because right now we have plenty of plants that we can grow, and we're fucking up this world with monocultures, and it's just, this is why we need government out of the picture, because governments are what keep this immoral system in place. You know, the subsidies for the corn that's being grown. I mean, I lived in Illinois before I moved to Washington. I was surrounded by cornfields, and I'm 100% sure all of the cornfields that surrounded my property were going directly to feed cows. Cows that are herbivores, not supposed to be eating grains. And it's meant to fatten the cows up so that we can fatten ourselves up by eating the cows. You know? And it's government that keeps that in place. It's government. Because the government can easily be bought off by these lobbyists that are, you know, the meat and dairy industries and the pharmaceutical industries are what are keeping us sick. And they're keeping this sick system of allopathic medicine and unhealthy foods and all of that crap. It's government that is enforcing it. I mean, they even have our children in schools thinking that we need meat in the diet. It's fucked. It is completely fucked up. And I'm sorry for cussing and swearing. I just do it. I can't help it. But I'm sure you don't care if you're watching it by this time. So I hope that explains how just because I think that hunting is immoral, that does not negate the fact that I can also be an anarchist and think that, okay? In fact, it's a very anarchist thought, because without hierarchy, we are equal with all life. You know, we are equal with the cow and the pig and the chicken and the fish. All of these animals desire to live. They are all sentient beings. You know, they all have sensory receptors. They all have maybe not the level of critical thinking that we possess, but nonetheless, they have a desire to live. So we should not be consuming them for our nourishment, especially when there are tons of other types of foods we can be ingesting. All right, let me go on. The next thing you write is, you choose not to have people who care enough about you in your life that when you got hurt, there was no one there to care for you. Because you are in a privileged position, that was indeed your choice. Not a choice that I guess it's not a choice that males are afforded, because we are in the minority in a major way. I can't go rock climbing. I can't risk getting hurt like you did because there is no one for me to depend on, and no hope to meet anyone because I am a male. You are alone because you choose to be alone. Others like me are forced to be alone. We're still 70 to 80% of all violent crimes are committed against men, so me just leaving my house is a risk, but for you, so much less so. Alright, so, perhaps you're right there. You know, the fact that I didn't have anybody to help me when I thought I had people to help me. I really was trying to put that into place. I invited people into my house to help me take care of my animals and to help me clean. You know, and I should have done some more background research on these people before I let them into my house. I did not do that. So that was my fault. And then when I was hospitalized and they were living, you know, on my property, and then I got back from the hospital and my house was all messed up. It looked like it had been torn through, and my animals didn't seem like they were being very well cared for. And then it was very apparent that I wasn't going to be well cared for. You know, that whole scenario was very hard on me. And I had to call my parents. And my parents lived 2,000 miles away. I didn't want to put that pressure on my mom and dad. My mom and dad are, you know, they're in their late 60s, and that's a lot of stress for them to have to worry about me and my 5 animals. So I admit, you're right there. You know, that's probably my fault. And I accept that as a lack of judgment, and you know, again, I'm talking with a therapist about some of my own personal problems with trusting people, and assuming things, which I think really prevents me from connecting with a lot of people. And I want to address that because I know it's not very healthy to make those assumptions. So, but you know, on a positive note, so that whole negative thing happened, but you know, like with everything in life, shit happens, and life is an experience. So I'm using that experience as what to do differently next time. And I've already I've already started to do research on how to prevent that from happening again. So what have I done? I found someone in my neighborhood who came recommended by several people to dog sit for me. And actually, she came by today. We did a meet and greet. I'm not going to have her move into my house. I'm done with roommates. In fact, I really love my solitude. I love having my own place. where my animals and I can feel safe and happy here. And also I feel more comfortable doing these YouTube videos. But, you know, I did. I met somebody, and she's going to, I think, hopefully work out. She seemed like she was really positive, and, you know, she's, the dogs really took to her, and they liked her. Even my 14-year-old dog, who's kind of skittish, seemed to be, you know, liked her. So I felt really good, and I'm going to test her out, and so I'm trying to put that into place. So if something does happen, I can just call somebody up and say, hey, you know, I need you. Can you come over for the weekend? And can you help take care of my animals? So I'm trying to do the research beforehand. Yeah. So learning from my mistakes. You know, I'm only human. I didn't come onto this planet perfect already. So anyway, then you go on. Well, you talk about how most violent crimes are committed against men. I don't know that statistic, but, you know, I could see that, you know, especially when we look at, you know, our jails, and I think, I do think men have it bad in a lot of cases. I really do. And I feel sorry for men. You know, I'm not your typical feminist, anti-guy kind of person, you know. I look at men, and I see their hardships, and I see how tough it is. So I agree with you there. Now you say you can't go rock climbing because you can't risk getting hurt. You know, is that a healthy way to approach life? I mean, am I going to go rock climbing again? I'm not quite sure, but I think I'd like to try it. But, you know, I'll be damn sure I'm going to be extra protected next time I do anything like what led me to my current injury. You know, I feel like I'm on this planet to really embrace it, to explore everything it has to offer. And I've talked about this on previous videos, but, you know, we are human beings that have these beautiful things called sensory receptors. We see, we hear, we touch, we can feel with our skin. And there's so much beauty on this planet. And I want to take it all in. And I feel so much peace when I'm out in nature. So if I can climb to the peak of a mountain and get like this spiritual download of the beauty that surrounds me, I'd love to do that. I don't want to limit myself. And so it's, you know, it's just a personal choice, you know. I don't want to live my life in fear. That's not what I'm here to do. Fear is the opposite of love. I want to love on this planet. That's what I'm here to do. That's what we're all here to do. I really believe that, you know, this planet, if it has like a purpose for our soul's experience, we're here to learn how to love. And that's what we're here to do. We have to sort through all of this bullshit, though. That's putting fear in front of love. That is that's how, you know, the Hegelian dialectic, you know, the problem, reaction, solution, and it's creating all of this fear so that we are so scared that we look to something outside of ourselves for a solution. And here comes the government with their solution. All right, then the last thing you write is that, oh shoot, I lost my crap. I hate it when I accidentally hit the wrong button. The last thing you write is that it's 6 a.m. here. I am in a foul mood. Thanks for letting me listen to a shocking display of self-pity that is uncalled for. Was my video when I was buzzed really like a shocking display of self-pity? Yeah, I think I was upset. But I was just expressing normal emotion. I was mostly upset because of my lack of ability to use my body the way I was able to use it prior to my injury. You know, I used to be able to run and jog and do all of these wonderful things, and I'm back in Washington, and you know, and last night when I was sitting with a couple of friends and I heard them talking about some kind of hiking adventure, I was just sitting there because I knew, I mean, they're not going to invite me because I'm incapacitated, right? I mean, I understand that. I can't go with them. And these guys are like, you know, high-level hikers anyway. I mean, they do some pretty rigorous climbs and whatnot. So that's something, a lot of what they do I have to work up to anyway. But that was like the path I was on, and I wanted to meet people, and I wanted to do things like this. And, you know, I was going on routine hikes and exploring a lot of the different areas, the beautiful areas that Washington has to offer. And then it got all taken away from me, and it brought sadness to me, and I got a little emotional last night. So I don't think it was self-pity, though. You know, whenever you experience a loss, especially if it's a loss in your physical capacity, you know, I think that it's a normal emotion to get upset. But self-pity, I mean, yeah, I might talk a little bit about how it's lonely not to have anarchists nearby that I can communicate with, but you know, I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm not, you know, I go out there every day and I try to be positive about life. So I think that you're judging me a little too harshly there, you know, and you really don't really know all about me other than what I say in these videos. And I was buzzed, so I don't know. Maybe I came across in a way that's truly not representative of who I really am. And then you continue to say that you have multiple sclerosis. I'm really sorry. I have a family member that has multiple sclerosis, and she's actually doing really well. She was diagnosed about 25 years ago, and she's still kicking, and she really, you know, is taking control of her diet. So you said you can empathize with me not being able to hike and run and play and outdoors, but otherwise it's all my choice. I will say this, that if you have multiple sclerosis and you really want to heal yourself, don't give up. I mean, the body is an amazing self-healing organism. And one of my passions in life is to help people heal, especially people that feel like they have nowhere else to go. One of the things I'm going to be getting into after I've submitted my final exam for the International School of Detoxification run by Dr. Robert Morse, and I'm going to be helping people detoxify their bodies and embracing a healthy lifestyle so that their body can go back to what it desires to do. I mean, our body knows one thing, and that's how to run effectively. That's the programming in our body, is to do what cells do in an appropriate manner. What blocks cell function is all of the crap that we ingest and all of the toxic stuff that slows down our energy, that makes our lymphatic system sluggish, that prevents us from eliminating waste, and things accumulate. And when you get too many accumulations in the body, you start getting some like inflammation, and chronic inflammation leads to what is called induration, where you start seeing tissue changes. And with these tissue changes, you start to see loss of function of tissue. And this is where allopaths and other people start, you know, labeling things as disease. And in reality, you know, you can give every single thing a name, a disease name. You know, I don't deal with diseases. I deal with really just what is the true cause of this problem that you're feeling. And how can we remove the cause? How can we eliminate that? And detoxification truly is the key. It's getting the shit out of your body so that you can more effectively function. And the way we go about doing this is through proper diet, which is raw fruits and vegetables, and then using medicinal herbs to help us eliminate and to strengthen our cells and to strengthen different organs in the body. So if that's something you're interested in, I mean, I'm going to be doing that. I haven't started my practice yet. I have to set up a website and get all of that taken place. But you can start with watching YouTube videos by Dr. Robert Morse. Robert Morse, ND, naturopathic doctor, ND. ROBERTMORSEND. So search that on YouTube. Or you can even write in, I think he has a couple of channels. He has like a backup channel. Because of course, you know, how they eliminated his channel once. Because, you know, he's talking too much truth out there. And, so yeah. And I'm going to see if I can end this at 44:44 like I did the last video. Isn't that kind of synchronistic? 44:44 is coming up again. Alright. So that's all I'm going to talk about for now. Thanks for letting me comment on your comment. Have a wonderful night.